Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg with Cloudcast Media. We are thrilled to have in the studio today with us our friends from St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And with us is Jennifer Castell. She is the Senior Advisor, Area Development for Southern California and Hawaii. I hope you get together quite a bit on business. I imagine you do. And joined by her colleague, Liz Devins, a brand ambassador and a patient mom for St. Jude. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Very good, very good. We'll start with you, Jennifer. How long have you been involved with the organization?
So as an employee, I have been around for 6.5 years, but I did support St. Jude when I was a child.
And how was that?
It was great. When they used to have the KSON Radiothon out in El Cajon, Our Country Cares for St. Jude Kids Radiothon, my mom and I would go into the mall and donate to St. Jude. So it's wonderful to come back here in my adult career and be able to support the organization as an employee.
Right. And it's celebrating its 60th year. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. We opened our doors in 1962 back in Memphis, Tennessee. And for the last 60 years, we've been helping understand the way that the world understands, treats, and defeats childhood cancer.
Right, exactly. And Liz, how about you? How long have you been involved with the organization?
Well, my daughter Claire was diagnosed with cancer back in 2006.
Right.
And our journey with St. Jude started in December of 2006 and is continuing even though Claire's no longer with us.
Yes, well, bless your heart for that. I just can't even imagine what it's like to have a child that's passed away in that aspect of it. But with a great organization, of course, and doing wonderful things, we'll get into some of the nuts and bolts on that. And isn't this a special month that's going on?
Yeah, September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. So it's an opportunity for the community to rally together and create awareness for childhood cancer and also come together for their loved ones that have beat cancer or the 1 in 5 that unfortunately are passing away. So it's a time to honor and remember them.
Right. So let me ask you this. Childhood cancer, growing, stabilizing, going down, it just really just depends?
Yeah, in 1962, when we opened our doors, there was only a 20% survival rate. So at that time, only 1 out of every 5 children were surviving. Fast forward to today, and our overall childhood cancer survival rate is 80%. So now 4 out of every 5 children are living, but St. Jude won't stop until we get to a full 100%. And that 1 is still important to make sure we can cure them as well.
Right, exactly. So, Liz, I can only imagine what you felt when you discovered your daughter had cancer and so forth. Your mind must have been just going crazy like everybody. And what brought you to St. Jude?
Well, you're absolutely right about that. I mean, I think we all know people, friends, family who have battled cancer or are battling cancer, but you just never imagine that it's going to be your child that's going to be the one that's going to be battling cancer. So, I was going to say in a nutshell, but it's not really a nutshell story. But
sure.
We live in Carlsbad. We're San Diego locals, and we have a wonderful children's hospital here. But at the time in 2006, Claire's was diagnosed with an extremely rare form of brain cancer that exclusively only strikes children. Very unknown. It had only been recently diagnosed accurately in the past 5 years prior to that. So very little was known about it throughout the country. When she was diagnosed, we have a wonderful team of neurosurgeons at our local children's hospital who were able to remove it. But beyond that, there was really little hope given to us that she could survive with the treatment that was being offered. And that wasn't really good enough for us.
Yeah, right. No, I imagine. And like anything, and we've been honored to have a lot of organizations. St. Jude is not like any other one. We know that. It's a very, very special organization, but work with people in the space of, medical issues, whether it's Huntington's disease or whether it's Alzheimer's. And we know it's more than just the patient. It's the family, it's the brothers, the sisters, the aunts, the uncles, the pets, whatever the case may be, that are all affected by that. And Liz, talk about the support you got from St. Jude.
Well, you're right about that. So Claire is our youngest of 5 kids.
Right.
So we had, at the time, 10, 8, 6, 4, and Claire was just almost 2 years old at the time she was diagnosed. And the uniqueness was not only did we find St. Jude by happenstance, because, again, this is 2006. It was a little different back then with the internet. So I happened to be at the mall with Claire and found a St. Jude advertisement, called them that day, and they had us on a plane 5 days later with a more hopeful and optimistic treatment and a view of Claire's survival rate. That is what we needed at that point in time. They had a different treatment. And the reason is because they're a research hospital. They use their patients' outcomes right there, and you can walk around the hospital and see the research tower and know that those researchers are taking those samples and outcomes and studying them for new and better treatments. And we knew that once we learned about St. Jude. So we arrived that December and our lives changed. And even though our outcome ultimately wasn't what we hoped for, Claire survived another 4.5 years, which was not the outcome that we were told would happen otherwise. Now, with that said, a lot of hospitals, even ours here, has come a long way. So I don't put them down at all for that. They were only going what they knew on at the time, which was what most hospitals, except for St. Jude, knew of.
Right, without question. We are chatting with our friends from St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Liz Devins, a brand ambassador and a patient mom. You're hearing the story of her daughter, Claire, joined by Jennifer Castell, a senior advisor, area development for Southern California and Hawaii. And I'm not sure how you don't tear up when you hear these stories. Of course, 724, 365. But listen, I was honored to be in a family of a doctor. And so he taught medicine at UCLA, and research was so important behind it. So, and we all know how critical that is. We also know how expensive it is. But you know what? Every dollar that can go to save, someone's life or to find a cure for what Claire had is just spot on that. Talk about that research aspect, Jennifer.
Yeah, definitely. So the great thing about St. Jude is, as Liz mentioned, we have our doctors and researchers right there at the hospital together on the same campus. And St. Jude shares our research freely. So we know that the cure for cancer is out there, and we know that we're not the only ones that have a lot of great information, and that it's going to take everyone coming together to do that. So not only do we partner with local children's hospitals and children's hospitals across the globe to, talk about a case in a situation where maybe they think they know the right treatment plan, so they can consult with us. And then on the research side, we have what I say a cloud of information where doctors and researchers across the world can go into that cloud and collaborate and learn about the work that St. Jude's doing. And that's all for free. So that's something that we could only do with the support of the community and with people who are fundraising and donating to St. Jude to keep that legacy alive from when we opened our doors.
Right. So is there an age limit from newborn to 18 or 17 or 16?
Yeah, we definitely focus on pediatric cancer and other catastrophic diseases. We usually say about 18. There are some instances where maybe if a child or a young adult is diagnosed, let's say at 20 or 21, but we can kind of roll that back to know that it was actually a pediatric cancer, then we would be able to work with them. And we support the whole family. So I know you brought that up a minute ago. So when a child is accepted at St. Jude, their entire family is accepted to be there with them. And we don't charge that family for treatment, travel, housing, or food, so they can really focus on helping their child live. So in Liz's situation, we would fly the whole family out and the whole family could come and be there for Claire. And that's something that we continue to do to this day.
Right. I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you are listening to Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing great things to San Diego for 60 years. We're talking to our friends from St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So, Jennifer, you get your funds from individual donations, corporations, grants, from any federal money coming in?
Yeah, so we get the most amount of our money from individuals just like me and you.
Right.
Corporations, sponsoring events such as our St. Jude Walk run that we have coming up here in San Diego on the September 24th. So we get a lot of corporate partners. We do get some grants, just so you know, and so the community knows childhood cancer is very unfunded in a federal capacity. And so we can't rely on that, and we don't. We have to rely on the community coming together and supporting. And so that's what we do. We want to create awareness to let people know how we're different than other children's hospitals and how that money is so important. Since we share that research freely, we want children to be cured right in their community.
Yeah, and there's Liz, I'm sure you'd attest to this. I know Jennifer would. There's no such thing as too small of a donation. Any amount helps, and the same thing with volunteering as well. And there's a big St. Jude Walk run coming up on the 24th, as you were mentioning, Jennifer. Are you going to be involved in that, Liz?
Absolutely. So this year I'm going to do it a little differently. So, because I have a busy day that day otherwise. So I've gathered a group of friends and family, and we are going to walk the beach in Carlsbad for our 5K St. Jude Walk. And I'd like to add too that, I try to let my friends and family know that it's about awareness as much as anything else, so let's let people know about St. Jude. Let's let them know the importance of obviously, supporting it financially, but also, just with awareness too. So
yeah, well, that's half the battle on anything is letting people know what the organization does, how they've been doing it, 60 years of a great track record, and so forth in that area. So talk a little more about the event. It's going to be on the 24th, correct, of this month?
Yeah, it's going to be down at NTC Park in Liberty Station. It'll be a great opportunity, again, for the community to come together. We have different childhood cancer families that come together to be a part of it. We have sponsors from the community that are coming together, and then just people that really, have hope that we can cure childhood cancer one day. And so, as Liz mentioned, we do have a virtual component as well. So you can walk anywhere, wherever you are, any day and show your support. There's no registration fee, so we don't charge for registration. The event will start at 8:00 on Saturday, September 24th, with our main kickoff of the 5K style family fun event at 9 in the morning. And we're really excited to be back. We haven't had this event in person since 2019. So we're happy to rally everybody together again.
No, that's terrific. And, we come back from break. We're going to talk more about the event. Anyone who's been down to NTC for events, I've been down there many times for dog events. It's a great venue, great setting, and so forth. So I encourage you to do it. And as you mentioned, if you can't make it down there, you can certainly participate virtually. So we're going to be right back chatting more with Jennifer Castell, Senior Advisor for Area Development for St. Jude in Southern California and Hawaii, joined by her colleague Liz Devins, a brand ambassador and a patient mom. We'll talk more about the event. We'll talk more about how our listeners can get engaged with you and anything else you folks want to discuss. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Okay,
Thank you.
We're going to be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification. is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you're listening to Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing great things to San Diego for more than 60 years. We're joined by our friends from St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, Jennifer Castell, Senior Advisor, Area Development for Southern California and Hawaii, joined by her colleague Liz Devins, a brand ambassador and a patient. A mom was telling the compelling story of Claire, and lived 4.5 more years after being in touch with St. Jude and everything else. And I'm sure every second of those 4.5 years were just absolutely beautiful in that vein. Liz, we'll get back to talk a little bit about that and some advice that you would have for parents of kids who have been diagnosed with cancer and what St. Jude's can do for them. But what's the website? Do you want to get engaged with the event, whether it's virtually or in person, or if you can't do that, just get involved?
Yeah, definitely. Our website specifically for our walk is stjude.org/walk San Diego. If there's anybody who's listening that's not in San Diego, you could just do stjude.org/walk and see if there's a walk in your local community. And then on stjude.org, we just have a lot of great resources for people to learn more about St. Jude as well.
Right, exactly. And while this is a Children Cancer Awareness Month, cancer doesn't know months. It doesn't know days. Just like food insecurity is not always at Thanksgiving. It's May 28th. It's July 1st and all that business. So it's something that literally is with you the whole time. What advice do you give, Liz, to parents who are in the same situation you were and they just have found out that their child has cancer?
Just... You have to be your child's biggest advocate. Obviously, our children can't always speak for themselves. Claire wasn't even 2 at the time and relied on us. And something was telling us that this wasn't enough, what we were being told. That wasn't enough. And the other thing is, no matter what turn your child's treatment takes or life takes, you want to live without regret that you did everything that you possibly could, and you sought the best that you possibly could. And that's something definitely that my husband and I can say that we did in finding St. Jude. Halfway through Claire's treatment, our local hospital, Children's Hospital here, formed a partnership with St. Jude. So that enabled us to be able to stay home and not make as many trips back to St. Jude, which we miss doing. But nonetheless, that was, our world's coming together, our hometown and our favorite hospital that offered us hope. So.
Right. And, talk about that a little bit, Jennifer. So St. Jude is located where?
Memphis, Tennessee.
Right, exactly. We've all seen those iconic commercials with Danny Thomas, and of course, then with his daughter and so forth. And so, when Liz was, doing the research on this, when is the decision made that, okay, we're going to take, Liz's kid and the family to Memphis? Is that, I imagine not every single family can do that, correct?
Yeah, unfortunately not. So we do like to have a doctor referral. So Liz would have, worked with the local children's hospital, and we would have wanted to understand what Claire's diagnosis was from them and any treatment that had happened prior to. And then once you were admitted at St. Jude, you were always a St. Jude patient. So we continue to study children. We have a life program where for those children who have survived, we will study them from the time they're admitted to St. Jude all throughout the rest of their life, so we can continue to ensure that we have the right protocols and procedures, and that what we provide for them when they're younger doesn't affect them in their adult life. And so we definitely are really focused on that holistic kind of approach from a large level. And that's why we do partner as well, like Liz said, with local children's hospitals and the community, because we don't want the family to have to uproot and come to Memphis. We only have so much room also at our hospital, but some of the families are there for 2-3 years. And so we also have our own housing facilities and all of that for those who have to stay with us, because that's what the best treatment plan is for their child.
Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. We are chatting with Jennifer Castell. She's a senior advisor, area development of Southern California, Hawaii for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, joined by her colleague, Liz Devins, a brand ambassador and a patient mom. Getting back to the event, it's going to be on the 24th of September at Liberty Station, NTC. It is free. But it's not going to discourage people from making nice donations when they get down there. How many folks are you expecting, Jennifer?
Oh, this year we're expecting about 500. Okay. We've had 1,000 in the past, but I think it's new for those coming back.
Right.
But across the nation, we have 50 walks happening in the next 3 weeks.
Okay.
And so we have supporters rallying together throughout the entire nation, which is great.
Right. And as Liz was saying, you could do it virtually. Mm-hmm. So you can get neighborhood teams together. You can get your relatives. If they live in Nome, Alaska, they can walk with you, right? And all that aspect of it, which is equally critical. That is one advantage of social media, where you can do those things. How big is your team, Liz?
That's a good question.
It's going to be bigger now. So.
Yeah. Well, and also I'd like to say, because there may be an individual out there who's thinking, oh, I don't know anybody related to St. Jude. I don't know who to walk with. Go on and join Team Claire Bear. You can find it on the St. Jude website, and join our team and walk. Let me know where you're walking from, because I'd love to see people from all over joining Team Claire Bear.
Right. I like that name. Mm-hmm. How long is the walk, by the way?
It's a 5K, so family friendly, a couple loops around the park.
Right.
And then I was going to mention, Drew, that people can volunteer. So we're still looking for volunteers. If walking isn't your thing, we definitely need support putting the event on.
Right. So you do the walk run as an event. What other events do you do throughout the year, or do you do any other events?
Yeah. So our other two major events here in San Diego are the KSON Country Cares for St. Jude Kids Radiothon. That will be in December.
Okay.
KSON's our longest standing partner at 32 years. I think this will be our 33rd radiothon with them. And then we also do a Hispanic radiothon in December with Univision. So those are some ways for people to become what we call partners in hope, where you give a $20 monthly donation for as little or as long as you'd like.
Right.
And that's a really sustainable stream of revenue for us, is that radio programming and these radio stations that allow us to take over their airwaves for a couple of days.
Well, and like Liz was saying, it's just getting the word out and letting people know that these opportunities are there and so forth. And we're very proud of our children's hospital here in San Diego, and for good reason. And we know and they have a nice relationship with Ronald McDonald House Charities, which is across the street. I got to give a shout out to my buddy Chuck Day, or else he won't talk to me. Chuck's the CEO over at Ronald McDonald House Charities in that aspect. But I think everybody, really can pitch in on this. So I'll start with you on this, Liz, and then we'll tee it back over to Jennifer. What can our listeners do to support your efforts?
Well, absolutely. I always say awareness. Talk about it, put it out there. I mean, honestly, at the time Claire was diagnosed, I did not know what I'd heard the name St. Jude. I didn't know where it was. I thought it was in Los Angeles. And then when found out we were going to Memphis, I was like, what, so awareness is very key. And like you said, the smallest donations count. My Claire's four older siblings have done, when they were smaller, did little things over the years. They had a lemonade stand and, raised some money and donated to St. Jude. We had a garage sale. We donated the money to St. Jude. So it doesn't have to come from your own pocket. You can, events like that also bring awareness. And I think just bring us all together, in the great mission that St. Jude has.
Yeah, no, I think that's fantastic. Jennifer, shout out the website again, and any other things you want to add, please do.
Yeah, stjude.org/walk San Diego. That's stjude.org/walk San Diego. And, Drew, I realize I forgot about our friends here that are doing trichathons at the preschools. One of our major sororities is Tri Delta. So we have Tri Deltas who come together here in San Diego from the different colleges, and they'll be out on walk day as well. So we definitely like to start that philanthropy young and continue that on so that when individuals do have the ability to give, they can. And our founder, Danny Thomas, always said, I'd rather get $1 from 1 million people than $1 million from one person, because then it's really about a community rallying together for the cause.
Yeah, well, that sounds terrific. And why don't we do this? Next time you folks are on, why don't we bring some Tri-Delts on with you, or whatever the case may be, or some tricycle people running around or whatever. One of the things we love to do is do a follow-up with those families like yours, Liz, who have benefited from St. Jude. Don't know if it's appropriate to bring on a survivor. Obviously, we want to be very careful of HIPAA stuff and all that business, but we've done that in the past where, on different organizations, that here is a great story that what had happened. And when you improve the survival rate from 20 to 80%, bless your hearts, just think about what that's been doing to those families. So to Jennifer Castell and to Liz Devins, wishing you nothing but great success moving forward. Have fun at the walk run. Maybe you'll see me out there. Are animals allowed?
Yeah, we definitely do allow pets.
All right, so I think we might do this. And why don't you shout that one more time, that website?
stjude.org/walk San Diego.
That sounds great. It's been just a joy having you on the show. I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.